Hi everyone. As I've said, I'm really glad that you've chosen to join us here in our new Breathwork membership community. As we build and grow, there are going to be more and more breathwork sessions offered here by many of our graduates and guest teachers and speakers, and of course myself and my team. It's really important that you understand some of the things that can arise in a breathwork session. So rather than have to repeat that in every single breathwork session, which gets very tedious for the regulars, as I'm sure if you're listening as a regular, you will know, I have decided to put together a recording here. So I really invite every single person who's new to breathwork, to connected breathwork, and to my sessions to really listen to this video and make sure that you fully understand exactly what you're letting yourself in for, which is both beautiful and sometimes challenging. So it's really important that you find trained breathwork facilitators. Before a session, we really recommend that you don't eat anything heavy and that you come to the session with a relatively empty belly, which will help you avoid any discomfort that might come from your body digesting at the same time as you're going into this breathing practice. It's also sensible on those lines to wear loose, comfortable clothing and to move any restrictions from around the waistband, underneath the breasts for women, for example, with underwire bras, and to really allow yourself the space to fully open your diaphragm and your lungs and the body in general. It's a connected breathwork technique, and what that means is that there is a continuous cycle of breathing that doesn't stop and pause at the top of the inhalation or the bottom of the exhale. So in other words, it runs in a continuous loop, and it looks and sounds something like this. Soft jaw, loose and relaxed, not forced, so not like this, but more just allowing your mouth to hang loose. And there, hopefully, you'll hear this is like a wave coming in and out, it doesn't stop. When you force your exhale or grasp your inhale, two things tend to happen. The first is that if we are we'll be exhausted very quickly and will amplify some of the physical sensations that you can experience in breath work. Some of those sensations might be rapid body temperature changes. It might be that you experience tingling around the mouth in the extremities, or cramping sometimes in the hands, feet, and around the jaw again. If it's in the hands, it can look like this. This is known as tetany, which is also called respiratory alkalosis. Now you can alter that feeling or sensation if it's something that's really uncomfortable for you by coming back to a gentle nose breathe, or by breathing out through gently pursed lips, creating some resistance, by humming on the out breath. And this toning activates our vagus nerve, which again brings on our parasympathetic nervous system, rest and restore. So in other words, you can slow down at any point, and you can also use those techniques to slow down if any emotional sensations are getting too difficult for you. So knowing how to slow down is important, and you may be coming to these sessions with some of the contraindications for breath work, in which case we're going to suggest that you use some of those down-regulating tips, but also that you breathe through the session through the nose. This is really, really important, because when we breathe in a connected, more dynamic kind of a way, what's happening in the body is changing quite rapidly. So we are releasing a lot more CO2 than we would normally release. That means that the red blood cells hold on to our oxygen and it doesn't get across the blood-brain barrier or to the vital organs. So if you have, for example, high blood pressure, seizures, heart disease, any of the things that are listed in our contraindications, which I'll read out shortly, then you're likely to be taking the chance of making those things worse. We don't want that. This is all about safety, enjoyment, exploration. It's not about pushing ourselves or our bodies into places and spaces that don't feel good or that put us in danger. So I'll come back to that shortly. The other thing I want to say is you may find that there is emotional release, that old memories come up, that feelings that are unexpected, maybe anger, rage, arousal, shame, old stories that come into your awareness again that you've long since forgotten or perhaps never remembered. Maybe you'll find that old operation sites start to ache a little bit and pull your attention. An operation is, after all, a breach of the body's boundaries and could be seen as a trauma in itself, even if we haven't lived with a traumatic response to that operation. So being prepared for these things to come up, and this can include in utero or early infancy experiences, and for some people, even past life experiences. But let's stick with the day-to-day and the practical. There is a hugely spiritual aspect to breath work, but in terms of pragmatism, I think it's really important. So once you know that some of these feelings can come up, it's up to you to regulate yourself. Are you resourced? Do you have external support? Are you able to internally resource? This means that you can find a place in your body, or perhaps a memory or a connection to something that allows you to feel a sense of safety, landing, and self-support, self-sufficiency. If you're externally resourced, it might be with a therapist or a strong group of friends, or it might be something that you use to really support you when you're doing personal growth work. If you don't have access to those things, go slowly, please. Do not push yourself. This is not about finding yourself out on a limb with no support. You may find in the session that your body wants to spontaneously move or express sound. Maybe it wants to shake something off that's in there that you never had the chance to say. Often in breath work, we see people completing cycles that were previously incomplete. So they may be making repetitive movements, pushing, cycling, running on the floor, not literally running. But their body is trying to complete something that they did not have the opportunity to complete at the moment that it happens. That's not always easy, but please don't be surprised. Again, you can down-regulate if you need to. Pendulation and titration are part of our practice by slowing things right down, staying in the body, staying with the breath. If you're somebody who has a tendency to hypervigilance, because that's where your previous experiences take you, see if you can just allow yourself to lower your gaze rather than close your eyes. Invite yourself to go slowly and gently. Every step is an achievement when we meet something that we are changing the way that we respond to. And we also invite you to let go of expectations, because many people have really transcendent experiences in breath work, but we can get hooked on those things. And for me, often the biggest impact comes through gentleness, through subtleness, through softness, through being willing to just stay with the breath, allow the breath to be the guide, and to follow what comes up. So we've talked about resourcing, we've talked about contraindications, and I'll be specific in a moment about what those are. Typically, the sessions on this platform will last for about 50 minutes to an hour. My Saturday sessions are much shorter because of the numbers in the group. And we will breathe to music, which will build in momentum and come down, and we will always allow integration time at the end. Now, you may choose to leave the meeting at that point and integrate in your own space, and that's fine, but you are also welcome to join the integration shares in those breathwork sessions. And kindly note that we also offer integration circles on this platform so that you have a deeper opportunity to bring all that comes up for you into those spaces, should you wish to. So I know that you are reading the waiver because we asked that you made sure that you had checked that before joining the session. So thank you for paying attention to your own self-care. We really invite a strong sense of confidentiality within this space. So please do not share anything that is shared or spoken or brought forward in these sessions, whether it's the breath work, the integration, or anything else. The sessions are recorded on audio only, but we switch off before the integration shares. That is really important. So you are not compromised, you are not seen. You can relax into your experience. Now let me come to the contraindications. These are important. If you are in relation with or have any experience of schizophrenia, unmedicated bipolar or psychosis, unmanaged post-traumatic stress, epilepsy or seizures, heart conditions or arrhythmia. If you have COPD or pre-existing lung conditions, you're in a delicate stage or first trimester of pregnancy. If you have high blood pressure or very low blood pressure with a fainting history, severe asthma, glaucoma or detached retina, or severe osteoporosis, and finally recent major surgery, which I mentioned, then please go gently and do let us know. You can let us know privately and discreetly. You don't have to share this in the public space. Your confidentiality and your privacy is very important to us. So I hope that all of this helps. Thank you for listening. I know it's a schlep to get to the end of these things, but it's a really, really important piece of breath work when we are working ethically. If we were in an in-person session, we would also be addressing the use of touch, but here we are gathering online. It's important that touch is addressed in those important sessions so you know that you always are in a place of consent, autonomy, and self-discernment. And I cannot stress enough how important that is. So thank you for being here in this community. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I look forward to meeting you in some of these amazing sessions held by myself and our graduates and team. See you soon.